Hello, friend. Welcome back to the Path to Better A1C podcast. I am your host, Coach Jenny Peña, and today's episode is extra special, at least for me, because it airs on World Diabetes Day. I know. Every year on November 14th, millions of people around the world, this is not just in the United States where I am, but many people around the world come together to raise awareness about diabetes and prevention. And actually, this year's theme is diabetes and well being, which is focusing on the impact that diabetes can have in your daily life and at work, which is amazing because I work with clients that is one thing that they need help navigating. Now, before we dive in, I want to share something brand new that I'm super excited about, and it is my prediabetes roadmap guide. I created this with those individuals that have just been diagnosed with prediabetes. Maybe it runs in your family and you are at a higher risk of developing it, and you want to start taking precautions, right? And changing certain lifestyles to make sure that you can prevent diabetes. This guide helps you understand your numbers, what labs to ask for, questions to talk to your doctor about, and how to start balancing your blood sugar with confidence. Three simple steps. That has my 111 method in there that you can start incorporating. If you have just been diagnosed with prediabetes, you have no idea where to start, you need to get some clarity, this is the guide for you. This is what I wish I had when I first got diagnosed with prediabetes. Now, you can grab that at subscribepage.io/starter guide. I will put the link in the description notes. If you go to my webpage, also, you are going to get a pop up about that guide. It's absolutely free. I created it with love and with all of you in mind. Now, let's talk about World Diabetes Day. What does it mean? Going over what puts you at risk. Because a lot of people say, are you at risk? And maybe you don't know what puts you at risk. And also, why now, when you're seeing maybe certain signs, certain flags, I like to call it yellow flags and sometimes red flags, when you're starting to see certain patterns, please don't do what so many people sometimes tell me. And they say, I don't have diabetes yet, so I don't need to do anything. But what I tell them is when your A1C levels are starting to get elevated, when you're seeing prediabetes, not doing anything, it's increasing the chances that you will have diabetes later. So please just don't panic, but think about this as something that is going to provoke you to create change, and change that is a lot simpler than managing diabetes. Now, let's talk about World Diabetes Day and what is it all about? So it was created by the International Diabetes Federation and the World Health Organization back in 1991. It's celebrated this year, November 14th, and it is the birthday of Dr. Frederick Banting. He is actually the scientist who discovered insulin. It's not just a day of statistics, but more of a reminder, right? A reminder that diabetes affects real people, real families, but also that prevention works. In the United States alone, 1 in 3 adults have prediabetes. And sadly, more than 8 in 10 don't know it. That's 80%. Now, globally, the numbers continue to climb. The World Health Organization reports that over 400 million people actually live with diabetes today. But here's the hopeful part, right? Prediabetes is that yellow flag. It's not a sentence. A lot of people think that, well, I have prediabetes, so I am going to have diabetes. There's nothing I can do. And I'm here to tell you, no, that is absolutely incorrect. And awareness is actually the first step towards prevention. You need to be aware of these things because I just quoted a statistic in the US. A lot of people don't know you won't be able to take action and do the necessary things so that you can prevent diabetes. Now, because this day it's about turning awareness into action, I decided to do something special for this month of November. I am going to be offering several workshops for free and all of my platforms. If you don't follow me in other platforms, please, I'm going to have the workshop on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and I'm going to have a private workshop via Zoom. Just follow me in one of the platforms. You will have access to this, and it's my prediabetes one-on-one workshop. Now, on top of that, I created a 5-day reset program. It's called Sugar Fix Reset, and it is self-paced via email. It is 5-day reset. You will have specific steps to do each day, additional tools to use each day. You can keep it on a loop if you wish. You don't need any apps, but it has structure so that you can incorporate these simple strategies and start balancing your blood sugar. For this month, to celebrate Diabetes Awareness Month, it is available for just $19. I will put the link in the bio, but it's subscribepage.io/energy because you will regain your energy. You will conquer those cravings. You will find balance. You're going to see the difference within 5 days. If you follow it, I can assure you, my clients start seeing the difference right away. Now, it is an easy first step to build that momentum without feeling overwhelmed. Everything is just to regain that energy, reduce those cravings, and get that blood sugar balance in check. Now, let's talk about what puts you at risk. A lot of people think that it's just genetics. Genetics is one component. It doesn't mean that if they get it, you get it. It just means that now there is a little bit of a more likelihood that you may get it. Now, let's go to the main risk factors, and there are different places. You can go to the American Diabetes Association webpage, you can go to the CDC webpage. There is a quick questionnaire that you can fill out, and I can link that in the show notes so that you can assess what is your ranking in terms of risk. Now, family history of diabetes is absolutely a risk factor. If you're older than 45, that is a risk factor. If you're carrying extra weight, especially around the waist, that is also a risk factor. I will disclose a lot of people think that if they're not overweight or obese, that they cannot get diabetes. I can tell you, I was borderline diabetic, like I almost got to that point, and I was not overweight or obese. And I was in my 20s. So these are risk factors. However, you should still observe your symptoms. You still have to track these things. Be aware. It's all about awareness. Low activity levels. I know sitting down for long periods of time, not much movement, that is another factor. If you have high blood pressure or high levels of cholesterol, that is something that actually, when you combine everything, it could be called metabolic syndrome. And it tends to be paired. Typically, when you have insulin resistance and you're having blood sugar imbalances, most likely you start to see that your blood pressure starts getting up. You're starting to see that the cholesterol level starts getting elevated. It is just something that it tends to kind of like work together, and then it creates major complications down the line. The other element is the history of gestational diabetes. Ladies, if you had gestational diabetes, that adds a bit of a risk factor there, or delivering a large baby. The other factor is actually your ethnic group. Hispanics, Blacks, Asian Americans, Native Americans, they are at higher risk of developing diabetes. And then let's not forget sleep and stress. When cortisol levels stay high for too long, blood sugar can actually creep up, even without dietary changes. And that is a major aha moment for a lot of my clients. Balancing blood sugar is not just about nutrition. Yes, it is an important component of all the different components that you need to tweak in order to balance your blood sugar, but it's not about nutrition alone. There are other elements that you need to work on. Now, if you're nodding along, if you're saying, wow, okay, there is a family history. I'm over 45. I have a little bit of an extra weight, and you're nodding as I am mentioning all these things, please don't panic. Take a deep breath. Risk does not mean destiny. It means you have the knowledge to make simple, powerful shifts right now. So start by getting tested. Ask your doctor for your A1C and your fasting glucose levels. In the US, it's pretty much the standard. At least once a year, this is part of your annual checkup. But if you're concerned, go to your doctor and ask for that. Then use my free prediabetes roadmap guide. That will help you understand those results, learn how to build balanced meals that work for you. And again, it's absolutely free. Subscribepage.io/starter guide. That's your first step. You're starting to see that you're craving carbs a lot. Maybe you're feeling thirsty all the time. It seems like even after eating, you're still having those cravings. You're feeling ups and down in energy and focus and brain fog. All of these things can be signs of blood sugar imbalances. So the moment that you start noticing these things, and if some of those risk factors kind of like rang a bell in your head, talk to your doctor, get tested. That's half of the battle to just understand your numbers. And I will say, even if your numbers are within normal range, if you have access to your history of those numbers and you see those numbers creeping up, it may mean that you're already having some difficulty processing that sugar. Studies show that lifestyle changes can actually reduce the risk of developing diabetes by as much as 58%. I had a workshop and somebody asked, can you reverse or prevent diabetes? There is not a hard, fast rule, but data that the CDC collects, especially for the diabetes prevention program that I have run a couple of times. And it's a year-long program and they gather a lot of data. They have evidence that all these lifestyle changes, they can either prevent or delay the onset of type 2 diabetes by 58%. And that is not a minor improvement, that's transformational. And it's very simple. Even a modest weight loss of 5% of my current weight, if it's just going to add 150 minutes of movement a week, that actually completely can switch the needle in the right direction when it comes to your A1C levels and your energy. I want you to feel empowered. And no, don't use that Thanksgiving is coming and Christmas is coming and Hanukkah and all these other holidays that are coming in November and December. You can still work on balancing your blood sugar and still enjoy your holidays. The best time is today. Let's wrap up with a few myths. One myth that a lot of people come to me, especially when they do clarity calls, is that if it runs in my family, I am doomed. So might as well just let it happen. That's the one thing. So the truth is, yes, genes matter, but habits matter more. Yes, there is a likelihood. As someone that has a family history, it is a possibility, but habits matter more. Some people say prediabetes means I already have diabetes, and it's not true. It's a warning sign. You can still reverse it. It's already saying that your body is having a bit of an efficiency issue using glucose from your blood as energy. So your levels are higher than desired for a bit longer than the usual. The other thing that a lot of people tell me about this, I have prediabetes. It's not diabetes yet, so I don't have to do anything. So this is the excuse for inaction. And I'm here to tell you inaction is action. Not doing anything, you are making a decision. And I can tell you, most likely it's going to end up in you developing diabetes just because your body's already sharing information to you. It's giving you signs and signals. And if you don't do anything, it's just going to keep deteriorating. It's like having a car and having a light showing that there's an indicator for the oil. But well, the car's still running. I'm still going to my job. I'm still doing this. Nothing smells bad. So, and not doing anything and not checking, just waiting for things to get worse. That's the best analogy that I can use right now. Now, the third myth that a lot of people talk about, you have to cut out carbs completely. This is like the biggest misconception that I have to debunk. It's not about not having carbs. It's about what type of carbs, what's the proportion, how you're having them, what is the timing. There's so many other factors. And I can tell you, your body needs carbs, your brain needs carbs. A lot of people go into very ultra extreme diets, and I'm telling you, it doesn't work. At least in the long run, it doesn't work. It actually backfires more than not. So finding that balance is key. Incorporating food groups, that works best. Following that diabetes plate, that is the best approach. So hopefully this is bringing you some clarity. And I know that today we covered some risk factors, we covered some first steps. Um, Now, next week, I am covering a topic that is very important. So we are going to talk about next week about different diet approaches. We're going to talk about keto, Mediterranean, lower carb, plant-based, some of these diet trends that personally I feel that they're a bit extreme and I personally will not endorse. And I am going to share the ones that are supported by the American Diabetes Association, and we are going to go over how to build your balance plate. You can use the foods that you enjoy, foods that you love, and still create balance in your plate. So if you are not following the podcast, I will say give it a follow so you can get the alert. Don't miss it. And thank you for joining me today on World Diabetes Day. And remember that awareness is power, but action results in transformation. So grab your free pre-diabetes roadmap. And if you're ready to put those steps into practice with a more structured set of tools, then get that 5-day reset. It's just $19. Share this episode with anyone that you know that you care about that maybe they just got diagnosed with diabetes or prediabetes and they feel a bit overwhelmed and they don't know how to process. Let's spread the word because the more that we spread awareness, the more lives can be changed. I am Coach Jenny, and it's been an honor to bring awareness here at the Path to Better A1C. I'll see you next week. Bye.